Hey, welcome to the Tonepot. Today we have Austin Tegtmeier, and we're going to chat him up a little bit about bass. He plays bass in H.A.L.T and former bass player for Be Like Max. So first off, how do you take your coffee?
I don't normally drink coffee. I'm more of an energy drink guy. Yeah.
Let's touch on that. What's your favorite energy drink?
I don't even Rockstars, dude. Rockstars. I started
What's up,
drinking
man?
Rockstars because they're made in at least packaged here.
Yeah, they definitely were a Vegas company for some time before the buyout.
Vegas has nothing of our own. We have like fast food franchises.
We
and
take
everything is chains and
and Raiders, and we just take things.
As soon as we have something that's ours, I just kind of like it because we have nothing.
I feel you, dude. Anything to get the caffeine jolt, dude.
That's right.
When you were coming up, what made you consider bass in a world full of guitar players? Why did you want to take the low-end avenue?
For me, I think it all started with the old hipster mentality to where I just want to be different. I'm going to do this because it's not the cool thing to do, you know?
Yeah, like the first dude to bring back fanny packs.
That's right. And everybody that I was hanging out with wanted to play drums or guitar. Mostly guitar,
For sure.
But there was the drummers out there. And I don't think I knew anybody else who wanted to play the bass. And I'm a big guy, so bass kind of fits better.
Yeah, for sure. With a tiny little short scale guitar just hanging on that mountain, dude.
That's right. Like I got this little Explorer Mini. It's the stupidest looking guitar, and I love to play it.
It's a cool one, dude, for sure.
Makes me feel like a cartoon character.
What was your first bass?
My first bass I ever had was a 5-string Spector, super metal bass, orange quilt top with EMG humbuckers. And I loved that thing. It was sick. I got a crazy good deal on it too. It was like at Guitar Center, it was like an old model with like a chip in it, and it was like an $800 bass that I got for like $399.
Yeah.
And I played that thing for like 5 years, I think, and nothing else, just that bass.
What made you pick that? Was there like a bands you were listening to at the time that got you into it that made you think it, or it just spoke to you from the wall?
I thought the orange was pretty cool, and I really liked that flat, like metal shredder neck. It felt pretty cool.
Yeah.
And music-wise, like I wasn't really paying attention to what other people were playing 4 or 5 string. I just thought like more strings equals
more options.
Better guitar. I could be better, because it gives me, And I just realized it's, I don't know.
I haven't seen you play a 5-string in recent times.
I switched, and I don't know if I'll ever go back, man.
So, what were like some bands that you first heard in your youth that made you, think, oh, that's a viable instrument choice for sure?
Bass-wise was for sure like leading with like Rage Against the Machine and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That Timmy C fucking funk, that funk shit is so sick, dude.
So good, man.
And his grooves are so cool. And then obviously Flea, man.
Need not say more.
I took bass lessons, and my teacher was like the Guitar Center teacher, and he had a big ass Flea Modulus poster on his wall. And as soon as I walked in, I complimented it, and he's like, "Oh, you like the Chili Peppers? We could teach you some Chili Pepper songs." So basically, I was like, "Oh, sign me up."
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dyed hair, freaky guy. I like that shit,
dude. That's awesome, man. So from that Spector, I've seen you. Before we played together, playing like P basses, jazz basses, and then moving predominantly into the Reverend guitars. Seen you with a couple of those basses. How did you find yourself kind of like finding Reverend, and what do you find in those instruments that like makes you pumped about them?
So, I started off, I got a jazz bass after the Spector, and I really liked it, but I didn't like the thin neck. But it had like these punchy ass, they're called Duncan designs, they're like Seymour Duncan proprietary Squire pickups or some shit. And they were really punchy. But also at the time I was learning how to sing and play bass guitar for like backup vocals and shit. Mm-hmm. So I was listening to a shitload of Blink and like fully getting submersed in the fucking Mark Hoppus world. And he played the quarter pounder pickups, which are pretty hot, P-bass pickups. So I like routed out this jazz bass terribly. You've seen
that's what pick guards are for, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, we'll just fucking cut a big circle and screw it in where it fits.
There you go.
And so I modded this jazz bass to be a PJ, and that became like my home bass for bass tone. And later on, I bought a Mexican Fender, and it was cool, but just a little more bland than what I had
The
built.
P bass.
Yeah, a P bass.
For sure.
So it didn't have the jazz bass pickup, but I was like, same realm, not as cool. Like nicer guitar, but it didn't sound as cool as my pink one. And then just doing a lot of searching, I saw, well, actually this band, The Sheds,
Yeah.
that we were playing with back
California,
in the day.
yeah.
Their guitar player was playing Reverence at the time, and I was talking to him and just like super like goo goo gaga over his guitar. Me and my friend Chris Powers were like super into that.
Yeah, dude.
And we reached out to Ken and shit, Reverend, and they're super personable. They make weird guitar, weird shapes,
Yeah.
weird colors with a PJ. And I was like, perfect. I think I'd try this shit out. And I'm definitely a sucker for like small companies that are like, or smaller companies. They're getting pretty big now, but
Yeah.
they have like personable customer service,
Yeah.
really good quality.
Incredible quality control. I've worked with a lot of guitars in my days as a tech, and their quality control, top notch over there at Reverend. Their unique design, the rail hammer pickups, like they have so much.
Yeah, they're different.
Yeah, man.
but
so
not,
much uniqueness to them.
not like weirdly different to where like you have to find a way to make it sound cool. Like it fits in but just shines a little differently.
Yeah, it's like a modified traditional vibe, you know?
Yeah,
Like you can
100%.
see where they're coming from, definitely. It's not like out of total left field, but it's a unique take and a modern voicing kind of a thing.
Yeah, for sure. I love those basses so much. They play so nice. Like, I don't know, they're really comfortable. They like pop on stage. They like stand out to me.
You have the that kind of like a egg cream yellow with a rosewood fingerboard, and the seafoam with the maple fingerboard, if I'm recalling correctly
Yeah, with
here.
that grip tape pickguard you love.
Yeah, dude, that'll cut you up. What is your thoughts between the maple boards and the rosewood boards, and your preference between the two?
I am a maple guy through and through. I don't know. It feels good under the fingertips. It sounds good. It's super bright. It gives you all that like that punchy, bright tone to where like I like brightness in my tone, so I can like dial it back. It gives me a little overhead, you know.
Yeah,
But the
with you.
rosewood, I have to boost things to get there,
Sure.
in my opinion. So
Yeah.
like, and that kind of, once I find something I love to, I just like run it into the ground. So in my
sure.
head, maple forever on all guitars.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you. 90% of the time, I would say, even in the guitar side of things, maple has like a certain snap and almost like a punchiness to the notes that it delivers that I'm a big fan of for sure. So I'm with you on that, dude.
Yeah, I love those Reverend basses so much. I ended up buying that Reverend guitar. I got the Air Sonic. It's like almost like a semi-hollow, but it's a solid body with just F-holes through it.
Yeah, completely.
And I made sure that had a maple neck on it.
For sure. That one's
I fucking love that thing.
that's
too.
a nice one. The Reverend basses that you're basically playing as your main workhorses right now, what are you running those through for like a live setup to touch on the rig?
For my live setup, which I guess is pretty much like my recording and everything. I'm like a one-trick pony. Once I find something I like, I just run with it. I run the Reverend, usually blended both pickups, split 50-50, straight into my dark glass, which I run decently hot.
What dark glass are you?
I got the Microtubes B7K, I think it's called. It's just a pretty sweet pedal. And I run that straight into an 80s GK RB800. I don't know the year, but it's the one with the horizontal power switch. I
For
know
sure.
that there's like a difference between the vertical one.
If I recall correctly, those were the first amps on the market, like in production setting, that had a DI built into them.
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
DI on it is not the best.
Sure.
But
it's the
also,
beginning.
it could just be mine. You know, I don't know.
It was the beginning of the time for that technology, so who knows? But I definitely feel the thump from those old GKs for sure.
And that DI not being the best led me into wanting to mic my cabinets instead. Because
I'm pretty sure that Duff McKagan used those old school GK heads like at the inception of Guns N' Roses.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Duff's tones are sick.
Yeah, dude,
He
totally.
plays-
He comes from a punk rock background.
He plays
and
a
gets lot of
PJ.
cool yeah, absolutely.
Through a GK. Yeah.
Mhm. PJ through GK for
No
sure.
wonder I like it.
Yeah, it's a desirable tone. Flea also is a big proponent of GKs. I think he's on the, forgot what model he's playing, but still, GKs.
And now he's on a jazz bass, which is close.
There you go. There you go. You're missing one different pickup there, dude. So what can you do? I know you said that you're more of a creature of habit in the sense that you will find a tone or however you want to capture your sound and try to stick with that. But how did you come across your tone in the first place? Like if you didn't, I guess, start there.
It was honestly by chance, man, because I was playing that Spector active bass, which was cool, through a acoustic, what was it, the B200, which is just like the low end Guitar Center revived acoustic bass amps, and it's just like it was a workhorse. It had power through their 4x10, which to me was just kind of like a bland, clean slate, you know. Like no matter what you did with the knobs, it was just kind of...
It was just to be heard.
Yeah, it was its thing. And then I didn't really know what I was doing with my bass necessarily, tonally. I was just trying to stay like in the background most of the time, just trying to find my own. Those amps blew up on me, and I ended up going to Guitar Center and getting that GK used. It was like spray painted gold, and somebody like Dr. P touched Boogie Nights on it.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that was their band name. And I was like, I could afford it. It's $150. I'll take it. And I brought it home, painted it white and black, and
lo and behold, it boogied.
Yeah. And I was like, holy shit, this thing is like way cooler than I had ever intended. And it just kind of fell into my hands. Later on, blew up the speakers, and I just got this 8x10 off of Craigslist for $300. No Tolex, missing wheels, like just beat the shit. And I put a little like Harbor Freight love into it, some new casters and some plumber's tape to hold the plates on and shit. And
I know.
Still runs, dude.
That's what's up, dude.
Like $450 into bass gear, and I got my rig I still play today.
The GK head in the fridge, man.
Yeah, I love it so much.
Well, the dark glass that you were talking about, that's more of like I'd consider it a newer piece of gear, you know, definitely within the past decade or less. Where did you come across that pedal, and how did you find incorporating that into your rig and tones?
So that we were in Boston with Jay Mass, shout out to Jay, recording our 4th album for Be Like Max. And traditionally, bass players record straight into a DI, straight in the computer, all digital like plugins, and you know, they get all the sparkly shit from plugins.
For sure.
But he had this idea to let me track in a room setting, to where he put me through a custom 412. I can't remember what brand the speaker cabinet was, but it was like a custom made one for him. And then it was through a Bad Cat head, which is like a boutique guitar head.
They're nice.
It was so sick. I wanted to buy one of those right after the recording process, but I was like, I don't know if I got
Google that price.
wallet's looking a little thin for that one.
Fantastic amps, though.
But yeah, it was sick. We played it through a guitar amp with that dark glass pedal pushing the front end of it, and it was such a cool tone, man. I was like, holy fuck. It still sounds like a bass, but it's angrier than fuck. And I loved it. And I was like taking photos of the pedal and went home and bought it right after we got back. And that's been one of my main pieces of gear since.
Yeah, for sure. It's a incredible like ability to tone shape. You can pick what frequencies something like the mids is going to attack and dial in how you want to go about that. And the cab simulator out of that, like if you're in a situation where you're traveling or something and you can't bring the rig, that's pretty tight.
Yeah, and you got so many options on like the blending of just drive and like your level of drive, and through the master. It's got bypass buttons. It's fucking dope, man.
Yeah, man. Everything you could need. When you're playing in like a live setting and you're having a sound guy do your thing, he's typically, like you said, they're going to take a DI from the front, even in these live settings where you spend all the time sculpting the tone and everything like that. Not only does that drive you a little bit crazy, but does having the the dark glass on the front end of that before you give it to them, does that give you the control that you need to keep the tone in your hands?
Oh, for sure. So that definitely helps a lot. It's not like 100% what I'm looking for, but it's like the right direction. A lot of times they'll take just your bass tone straight out of your guitar through a fucking DI box to their board, and then your tone is whatever they want your tone to be.
Yeah, whatever they like for bass tone.
And dude, that drives me crazy.
I could imagine.
Because I think about it differently, or I think about it the wrong way, but make it work.
It's never been a situation like that on the guitar side of things, so I could imagine it being a frustrating endeavor. Like, spending the time picking your cabinet, your head, your pedals, just like in the guitar world, for that to be bypassed. It would drive me nuts.
Yeah, for sure. And like, it's super understandable. It makes their life way easier to not like, it just cuts out all the what ifs, you know. And to be fair, most bass players, like even in big successful bands, are just the guitar player who wasn't good enough to be the guitarist. So they're like, here, man, play the bass.
I've seen that happen.
They don't really
several
care.
times.
They're just the bass player, you know?
Yeah, dude. I hear you.
I'm not just the
But
bass player.
at the same time,
got
I
feelings.
never see people come into a show where a band is playing just to see how good the sound guy can make the band's tone. You know,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
kind of
for
coming
sure.
to see the band for a reason, for sure.
Yeah, most
So,
definitely.
yeah, but no, it's definitely a plus. When you were using that Bad Cat to record with, did you notice anything particularly that you were getting out of like a 412 cabinet to 810 cabinet, or is something like that sort of like specific to like recording frequencies? And
I really don't know, man. I don't think my ears are that good. And like, definitely not at the time. Like now like the demos that we write together for Halt and stuff like that, I've gotten way more into that side of things. But at the time I was just like, oh, it sounds sick in my bedroom. That's my tone. Like I don't really know what the fuck it's doing.
it translated well, man.
And yeah, Jay's a freaking nature when it comes to that shit. He's
Yeah,
like
monster
just
producer.
so good. He
For
hears
sure.
it and he's like, problem solved.
That's
How's
what's
that?
up.
I'm like, the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, man, for sure.
In seconds, yeah, he's sick.
And you know what, man? There's probably guys like that running live sound too, and I'm just not giving the credit where credit's due.
most
You know,
definitely.
for sure. But
Sorry for the shade, all
yeah,
the,
dude. I
all the
didn't
sound
mean it. I
guys.
love you guys. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, I did, and it's definitely like a different world. I try to take as close of a recording or as close of a live sound into my recording idea as possible too. Like, if it sounds like that in my bedroom, I try to take that to the stage, and if it sounds like that on the stage, I try to take that to the album. Like, I don't want people to be like, oh, it sounds a little.
Yeah, sure. And it's like in a world where you can be recording your tones yourself and sending stuff back and forth, it's like the tones you are capturing in your room are also basically the tones you're going to be using in the studio. And if that just translates to live, you know, then even better.
I'm also not into that like polished false advertising thing. You hear a song on the radio and you're like, oh, that sounds good. And you see it live and you're like, it's missing like most of its charm.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'd rather it be the other way around and be like, oh, this song's cool. And you see it live and you're like, whoa, that shit's gnarlier.
You
You
should
know?
tour with your producer, man. No, I feel you on that for sure. Another bass that you have that I'm a big fan of is that PV-ATK bass. I know it's like a newer acquisition in the world of Austin, but that has active pickups, kind of like where you started on the Spector. So after starting at active, spending all those years rocking the passive, and then falling into another active system, has it sparked any sort of old school
The active renaissance.
Yeah, for sure.
So it definitely put me on my heels in what I thought I liked in my bass tone, because now I have this other option in my arsenal that's totally different, but it still sounds cool. But I still find myself trying to make it sound like the PJ. Maybe that's just because I'm not fully like ready to give up on that tone yet.
Everyone has the tone in their head, you know.
But it's awesome, man. It's got so much punch and like the versatility. It's got a high boost and a low boost, or it's got all three, I think, high, mids, and lows, to where I can cut or boost any of those frequencies
for sure.
And then it's got a switch on it that switches from like a humbucker, and then it flips like the polarity of that, and then it goes to single coil. And it's super cool, man. Like the options you can get from that one fucking pickup.
Could imagine the versatility with like that bass into the dark glass and what you could.
It's almost too much. Like
A
I'm
buffet.
I'm kind of a caveman, a troglodyte in the world of in the technology world, or anything like that that's got like layers to it. I have to like take baby steps into it, and so I feel like I just gave myself a big project to take on, and I just got to sit there and fuck with it for a while. And
Well, when you get hit up for like session work or something, like I saw you playing with catcalling
That's right.
with the homie Jesse and doing some gigs there too. Do you take a different approach to that? Do you let the person who's sort of hiring you out take the driver's seat in regards to tone and that? How do you go about something like that?
so that one, I kind of let Jesse take control of my tone. Not necessarily like, here, turn my knobs till you like it, but like, I just listen to his guitar and try to totally be like the Robin to his Batman, you know?
For sure.
Like, he's making the sound, or the song sound like he wants it to, and I'm just there to fucking be his backup, you know?
I kind of like to take the other approach when I'm hitting guitars to your bass track. You got such a dirty tone. I like that to be like the focus, man. It's
definitely a big difference in playing with you, man. Like, I feel like you almost put me first a majority of the time tonally.
I like the bass. Yeah.
Which is kind of weird, man. Like, most guitar players, you might get fucking...
Yeah, that's my hot take, dude. Is the
You
bass
might
should
get
always
thrown to
be
the wolves for
louder
that one.
than guitar, dude. I definitely feel that.
You're exiled from Guitar Island, dude.
That's my hot take, dude.
But yeah, it's kind of cool. It's really unique working with you on that front too, because we like have practices where we'll sit down and just like fuck the songs. We're gonna make our two amps sound the best together that we can.
For sure.
Like, fuck what we're playing. We're just like, this note is gonna sound cool over this note.
Yeah, we could play one note, but it'll shake your core.
Trying to scoop each other, and like, we're like dancing with sound waves, me and you.
For sure, dude.
And it's really fun. It makes it, it's super fun to tweak knobs with you.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. And one guitar, one bass, you got to kind of focus on where those EQs are setting. Other than that, it's just going to be...
Yeah, if you're shooting at the same spot, you have no body, you know? But we got to fucking...
For sure. You got to cross streams, dude.
That's right.
And make the X.
Sometimes we'll tangle back.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. What are some of your hot takes on tone, man? If I'm going to sit here and spit out my bass is more prominent than guitar?
Well, for one, I'm a very scoopy dude.
Oh.
Which is kind of strange.
Like a Fritos kind of.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
You know, more dip on each chip.
Man, when you say it like that, it hits.
But yeah, the scoop is cool because like it allows me to like show up and disappear depending on where I'm at on my bass, like octavely, if that's a word.
I definitely.
But you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm playing my G string and I got my highs boosted, I'm like there. You can't avoid me. And then when I'm playing my E string, low E, I'm like filling up the bottom. But then my mids kind of, they're there, but they're more of like a background. I'm kind of like fading off, letting you do your thing.
I would probably say I play with more mids than someone might guess in my guitar sound, but the way that everything balances out together, yeah, I'm a big fan of, for sure.
Yeah, and like a lot of the bass players that I grew up looking up to, and like Mike Dirnt's Dookie tone for me when I first started playing was like phenomenal. And
yeah.
It's like mids. That's it. All mids, huh?
It's still there though, you know what I mean? I mean like that.
But it punches differently. And I liked the punch. I just tried to make it happen. Dude, I don't even know where I got the scoop thing. It just like happened one day. I was like, I think this is better.
It works incredible, dude. It's very effective. I don't see it very often in the bass world, you know. I see a lot of mid-focused kind of sounds, but it slaps. No pun intended.
Like I'm not even a guitar player by nature. I learned guitar way after I played bass, but I think about my amp as if it's a guitar amp almost, you know.
Sure.
I try to be a rhythm guitar player, if you will.
I'm a big fan of Motorhead and Lemmy's approach to bass playing, and I feel like the end result almost sits close with me. Like you're playing through totally different stuff, but you get this drive and fullness that sits so well with like guitar driving music, and it almost reminds me of like the Motorhead vibe. I love it.
I've never like studied Motorhead's bass tone, and that's kind of crazy because Lemmy's like one of the fucking
Marshall heads, Marshall cabinets. It's all like guitar based rigs. Yeah. So when you were talking about the Black Cat situation you were in, you're like a 412 and this boutique tube head, and I'm like, man, that kind of reminds me of some Lemmy shit too. Incorporating the dark class is like giving the modern voicing.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything for sure, but like the heart of that like driven bass tone, it like hits you.
Oh, most definitely. And you can't deny Lemmy his spot on fucking the bass Mount Rushmore. You
Absolutely
know?
not,
right there.
dude. He's like the George Washington, minus all the terrible, terrible things, you know?
He does have those hot shorts.
Yeah, dude. So, I guess to wrap things up And I'm sure this is going to be a short episode because you're a bass player, no fault of your own, all fault of your own.
It's just the nature of the bass.
What would your desert island rig be? Like if you were marooned and you needed to pick one guitar, one amp, bass, whatever, one pedal. What are you rocking?
How'd I become marooned?
Yes.
Found myself fully marooned out. Marooned 5.
You know what you've done.
This is a terrible answer, but I would just take my Seafoam Reverend, maple neck all day, and my GK head, man, and a beat-ass 8x10. Preferably mine, but if I had one, I would just make sure it fell off a truck before I got to the island.
Yeah, for sure. Just something a little dirty and dinged, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe like do some bad things to it. Yeah. Fires, piss on it, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't fight you on that, man. You got an incredible bass tone and a lot at your fingertips to manipulate that. So
that's just me making up for the lack of skill I have on the bass guitar, you know? I just distract them over here with that tone, you know?
I hear you, dude.
And it worked.
Anything to fill the space and make them forget you're not even really playing. That's you know.
That's how I roll.
We make noises over here. What are some projects that you're working on that you may like to plug or talk about or anything? What's going on in the world of Austin?
I've been playing a bunch of like hardcore punk stuff, and so far 100% of it's with you.
Yeah.
And we got H.A.L.T.
I couldn't say it. You have to say it.
Which is like a couple of the hard pipe hitter dudes, ex hard pipe hitter dude. It's Austin and the hard pipes is what
Austin and the hard pipes.
Yeah, it's so we got a couple recordings out on Spotify, Apple Music. Check that shit out. H.A.L.T. hardcore kind of vibes, and then we're doing something else to where I'm not even playing any guitar or bass at all. I'm just doing the vocals.
Yeah, man.
Trying to make a fool out of myself.
Yeah, that's a whole nother tone conversation.
Let's see how that works.
Let's touch on it while we're here. How are you going about switching from bass to vocals, and what's your approach?
Well, one thing I just have this. I had these guitar pedals at my house, and I don't play guitar in any band. And I really wanted to use those, and I'm just like so fixated on vocals through guitar pedals because it's not supposed to be like that, and I just want to use it just because I have it. And so that's like my focus right now. I'm trying to like figure out ways how to use all these cool pedals I have on my vocals and do delays and OD and
yeah, dude,
cool stuff.
Drives and echoes. I've always appreciated that you're just you're so reluctant to follow the crowd, and you're always going to be doing your own thing, for better or for worse.
Yeah,
man.
it might fucking burn to the ground. Who knows, man? But like. It's art when it comes down to it, and I think cool art is different art, you know?
Yeah.
And just like throw some shit at the wall until it makes a Picasso.
For sure,
you never know. You might be onto something, or you might just be
flinging shit.
I'm willing to take that risk.
That's what's up, man. And I think it pays off because I don't mean this in any shade throwing ways. It's not a lot of bass players are very tone focused. Necessarily, it's just going through it, accepting of the DIs, and the sound guy does their thing and stuff like that, kind of leaving the control more or less in the hands of other people. I've always appreciated how focused you were on sculpting a tone and blending tones with instruments that they're against.
Well, there's like something to say about like, for me, when I see a live band, songwriting aside, vocals aside, guitar tone aside, if the bass player's tone is like nasty and it catches my attention, I will drop anything I'm doing, and that will become one of my new favorite bands.
That's a very good way to put it.
The motherfucker could be playing straight eighth notes the whole song,
and the tone will grab you,
but it just like has this energy to it, like this like I don't know, this ferocity that I love.
Yeah, dude, I feel you. Like you can have, that's an incredible way to put it. Like I just said, like something that like will stick out to you like that. You almost don't even notice like the DI tone when it's very round and it's just sort of sitting in the background. Yeah, filling the space. But when you tailor that tone the way you do, it is right up front there. No getting away from it unless you want to.
Or even off the ferocity topic, like if you ever really paid attention to like the song Waterfalls by TLC, that bass player is nasty. I don't know who he is or she or they are fucking shredding.
Dude, I'm gonna have to go back and hit Waterfalls.
Check that shit out. It's like some sick, like silky, funky tone, but it like cuts.
Do you think it was recaptured well enough in the Phony Calls rendition by Weird Al Yankovic?
confirm nor deny. I don't
Well,
know.
after we're done here, we'll get into
We'll get
that.
weird.
Yeah, we're going to
With
get
that.
weird. All right. Well,
Yeah.
this has been the Tonepot, episode 5, with Austin Tegtmeier. And thank you, dude. Thank you.
You're welcome, and I'm sorry.
You're forgiven.
Ciao, Bellows.